Let's take a look at the top teams for Tre Boston. And I guess, Tom, we could take a macro perspective here and just say the safety market has been very odd.
I don't understand the safety market, like, at all. There was the one report that we have discussed on the show previously that the NFL in general didn't want to sign any safeties, so it didn't seem like they were blackballing Eric Reid. And I don't know if
that's a theory.
I don't know if that's actually true, but it does make some sense. Like, I still think it's very much a theory and a rumor at best, but I kind of get it. Because Kenny Vaccaro, Tre Boston, Eric Reid, and some others, all these guys should have jobs in the NFL. And Boston, I know that teams want free safeties. They want the back-end guys, not just strong safeties. I think Boston can be a free safety for a lot of NFL teams. So here's some of the teams that missed. I'll make quick note in particular came of the Minnesota Vikings. I love Harrison Smith. You're not a Sandejo guy. I'm not a big Andrew Sandejo guy. He's fine. He's a number 3. I think if you put Boston in that mix, all of a sudden you got a really, really good safety tandem. You got the one of, if not the best guy at safety in Harrison Smith. Put Boston in there. Why not? Some other teams as well. The Giants showed interest. I don't know if they're going to be a fit. L.A., Boston's old team, probably not since they drafted Derwin James. Tennessee was more of a dark horse if they wanted another third safety option. If they really don't like Jonathan Cyprien.
He struggled last year.
Green Bay has shown some interest in safeties. They did lose Morgan Burnett, but I think in reality, there's a little bit more of a clear top 5 for safety. I think in general, and this is partially why the safety market has been so slow, outside of maybe not the Eric Reid thing, there aren't a lot of teams that desperately need a safety. There are teams that they've got good enough. They've got just enough average guys at safety. They're looking for a number 1 guy, and I don't think Boston or Reid or Vaccaro are those actual number 1s. They're number 2s, and the NFL teams want to try and give their current 2s or 3s a chance to earn that number 2 safety role.
So the Titans, Chargers, Giants, Packers, and Vikings are all the honorable mentions here. Let's get into the top 5. At number 5, the Carolina Panthers. Losing Kurt Coleman, maybe you think there's a hole there, Tom.
I do, and I think that Carolina could definitely use another free safety. Now that they brought in Rashawn Golden and Denor Searcy, and we'll see how those guys fare. You know how I feel about Rashawn Golden. The upside, I guess, is there. I wasn't super impressed by him. I thought I was a bit overdrafted, but even if you believe in Rashawn, I still think you need somebody else. Like, that's not good enough. Colin Jones, Desmond Southward.
Mike Adams.
Adams is aging. Those are not guys you want. And the Panthers, on the flip side, they know Tre Boston. Tre Boston played for them for several years. Now, I don't know if they want to bring him back, but in general, I think NFL teams, if they want to get a safety, they want a free safety. That is almost exclusively where Tre Boston played last year for LA, at least when he wasn't kind of playing as a blitzer or even a linebacker times. He was mostly at the free safety spot based on his snap splits. So if you want a free safety, I think Tre Boston makes sense there. And I'm looking at a team like Carolina, Cam, and I don't like what they have at safety. Now, they're ranked 5th and no higher because I don't know if they want to bring back Boston after having some time with him in the past. I don't know if that's that they really want to go. I like Mike Adams, and Colin Jones showed a little bit of flashes at times, but I really think they need another impact safety in a big way.
All right, well, Charles said it in the comments section. Panthers could use bringing him back. So
there you go. Charles, smart guy right there.
We got the Panthers at 5.
If you agree with me, I'll always praise you.
Yes, of course. That's the Tom Downey way to go about it. All right, let's go to number 4 here. The Kansas City Chiefs, and you could just look at the secondary in general. It needs a little bit of help.
It was bad. It was bad.
For sure.
Like, safety is a big concern to me because we know how good Eric Berry is. And Eric Berry is one of the players, look back at how the Chiefs safeties have fared in years past. No surprise, Cam, they're a lot better when Eric Berry plays.
Sure.
And that kind of makes sense because when you're playing with, again, one of the top 5 guys in the NFL position, if not top 2 or top 3, some would say number 1, and there's a strong argument there, it makes everyone around you better. And they've tried other guys. Eric Murray got some reps. Daniel Sorensen, I thought, was really, really bad at safety. Leon McQuay out of USC played a little bit last year, under 50 snaps. They drafted Armani Watts, who I like long-term as an option. But if I am the Chiefs, and you got other guys on here, all these players are real, by the way. These are not made-up players, even though you probably haven't heard of Demontre Wade. It's okay. I had neither before this show. I'll admit that one. The Chiefs, if I'm them, I want another impact guy because the secondary in general concerns me. So I would sign Tre Boston to a 1-year deal. He can play free safety. I think he plays strong as well. You can typically go both ways here. If you're able to play free safety, you can play close to the box. In most cases, there are, of course, plenty of exceptions out there. And I groom Armani Watts for a year. And then in a year, I say, Tre Boston, thank you. Go at the open market again. And they pair Berry and Watts next to each other for the long term. I think it's a really good fit.
I like the logic.
The Chiefs, on the flip side, for whatever reason, maybe it's because, obviously because they more value their own players than I do, they seem pretty content with their secondary. And I don't know if that's really the way to go for them. I think if you can get a guy like Boston, you pilfer a former division rival, maybe he still has the LA playbook out there, that could help. I think it just makes you better. And the Chiefs, overall, and this is kind of a more general note, Cam, I'm very curious to see how they fare this year because I think there's a ton of upside on that team. The defense lost a lot in terms of the secondary, namely Marcus Peters. How do they bounce back? They could have a little bit of a one-year lull and then pick back up in year 2 of Mahomes, but I think the future looks bright. I just would like one more safety given that the player across from Eric Berry is just so unclear right now.
I'm not fully convinced that front seven's going to be good either. Now, they did address it a little bit.
It's okay. Justin Houston exists.
Justin Houston is there. Yeah, congrats. Chiefs are there at number 4 for Tre Boston. Let's take a look at the Dallas Cowboys. They're at number 3 on the list here. So no Earl Thomas. Perhaps the consolation prize is Tre Boston, Tom.
The Cowboys have claimed that Boston and Reed and Vaccaro aren't scheme fits, which just reeks of a lie to me because they're all different players. Like Eric Reed, if you want to group him in little bubbles of most safeties, Boston's kind of your single high free safety at times. Kenny Vaccaro is almost one of those safety slot corners hybrids. And Eric Berry is almost a linebacker safety hybrid. So none of those players fit your scheme. So I actually don't believe that at all from the Cowboys. And I don't really know why. I know that they like Xavier Woods, and I liked what I saw out of him too. I think he's a worthwhile starter. Kevon Frazier can be a nice almost dime linebacker type safety, box safety hybrid for you. Jeff Heath is the best way I can describe that. He makes a lot of plays and he gives up a lot of plays. So he is a playmaker, just not always for the right team. He'll knock the ball out of Derek Carr's hand and then he'll just totally misdiagnose a play and get absolutely burnt. So Jeff Heath is a little bit up and down for me. He's done some good things. Maybe I'm always a little bit too harsh on Jeff Heath, and some Cowboys fans have told me that as well. But I think that the issue for me is that Jeff Heath, Xavier Woods, and Kevon Frazier are all number 2 or number 3 safeties. And that's not a bad thing. You need those guys on your roster. And Boston's probably not a number 1 either. But I don't want to go into the year with only having those 3 at safety. So I would go sign Tre Boston or Vaccaro or Reed, pick one for the Cowboys. And I think it puts them in really good shape at the safety spot. If there's an injury, if someone's struggling, you can just turn to the next guy. You've got extra depth and more special teams. And at this point in the year, Cam, these safeties shouldn't be expensive. The Cowboys got an extra $3 million from cutting Orlando Scandrick, making him a post-June 1st cut. So if I'm Dallas, I'm like, Boston, Reed, Vaccaro, sign me up. I think it'd be a good fit for the Cowboys. I'm curious what the fans watching at home do, but I would go sign him in a heartbeat.
Well, new secondary coach and Chris Richard obviously has shown that he is willing to change things with Byron Jones moving on over to cornerback, Tom. Maybe more changes happening.
Perfect timing. Byron Jones, I've been pounding the table for about a year now, I guess, to move him into cornerback. They're going to do it. I'm excited to see how he fares. He'll be a better corner than I think he was safety. Because last year, the Cowboys tried to make Byron Jones into a strong safety because when you draft somebody to be a free safety cornerback hybrid, you got to put him in the box, right?
It makes so much sense.
There's the exception to the rule of a guy that can play free safety but cannot play in the box. That was Byron Jones. Not a good tackler. That's my rant. Okay.
All right, Cowboys there at 3. I'm cutting you off. Well, let's go to number 2 here. We got the Indianapolis Colts. Malik Hooker is a nice piece to build off of. Unfortunately, he's coming off an injury. The Colts have a lot of salary cap space. They brought in Boston for a visit, so it's dot after dot after dot that maybe you can connect here.
I think the Boston visit might have been an exploratory move because the Colts, I think ideally would play Clayton Gathers and Malik Hooker as their top 2 safeties. The issue is both of those players are coming off of injuries, and I liked a lot of what I've seen at times from Gathers, a former 4th-round pick out of Central Florida. He's got some ability there. I don't know what we're ever going to get out of TJ Green. I don't think you bank anything on him. I remember this, Cam. no one's going to remember this, but I do. There was one of those anonymous scout reports who said, and I quote, "Why draft Jalen Ramsey when you can get the same player in round 2 in TJ Green?" Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sometimes, folks, NFL scouts and executives and personnel are really dumb. They got bad ideas too. So I think the Colts, look, there's not a position where they are saying, oh yeah, we've got all the talent we could possibly want. Well, maybe offensive guard. But if you can bring in Boston, I think it's worthwhile. If Hooker and Gathers are a little bit slower bouncing back, I think they want those two to be the option there. But they're second year because they did bring him in for a visit. And I think that makes sense there. By the way, shout out Terry Jenkins, who also called this one coming up here. He said Colts make sense.
All right, well, the Colts are there at number 2. Let's take a look at number 1 on the list. Honey Badger is gone. The Arizona Cardinals have a hole at safety.
This almost has to happen for Arizona because, Cam, this secondary is just so bad, like at safety, because I know that Matthew played a bunch of different positions, and I like Antoine Bethea, and I like Budda Baker too, but the depth is non-existent. You're telling me you want Rudy Ford to be your number 3 safety? No, I don't want that. Jonathan Owens and A.J. Howard aren't going to make the roster. This is like the Cowboys, but even less depth. So, and the Cardinals brought him in for it, so that's why the Cardinals ended up being number 1 here. Even if you want to kind of let Boston split time with Baker, Bethea, and use kind of a 3-man safety hybrid, which we've seen them do with success in the past. Baker only played about 500 snaps last year. Like, bring him in and make Baker, Bethea, and Boston the triple Bs. There.
Boom, there you
I've
go.
already given your nickname, Arizona.
The Killer Bees.
No, that's the Steelers. You can't do that.
Come on.
You can't do that one. All right. I'm
Copyright?
sorry. Yeah, that's just going to confuse everyone. So it's the triple Bs.
The triple Bs? All right, that's fair.
So I think Arizona makes a ton of sense for Tre Boston. That's the route I would go if I'm Boston. I know it's maybe not the best fit in terms of exact massive amount of snap counts or even most successful team, but I think if you're Arizona, you brought him in so you clearly have some interest in him. Turn Bethea and Baker and Boston into a really good 1-2-3 punch at the safety position.